Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Dina. This is my channel about cross stitch, and I want to give you a little bit of a jump start on this week. It is Monday. It is the 26th of June. Can you believe we're coming right down to the end of June? We'll be in July before you know it. I decided to do a couple of things this morning really quick. One, I got the Whip Go numbers from Jessie Marie when she posted it yesterday, and I came up and looked at my board, and I got such a kick out of it that I wanted to share it with you this morning. First of all, she hit the magic 13, which is the free space if you chose to use that as one, and this year I did. I don't always, but I did this year. Since I was having two boards, I thought it would be nice to have a free space. So I blued those in with my little colored pencil, and those are taken care of. Then the next numbers that were called that I'll actually have to do something with were 9 and 21. So on my regular Whip Go board, the one that's not the holiday seasonal one, number 9 is July wordplay. July wordplay. Isn't that perfect? Jessie Marie, you did so well. I have several wordplays on my Whip Go boards, and July was just one of them. And as it turned out, it actually got called for the month of July. I think that's great. Number 21 on that board was originally listed as pandemic, but I have pandemic on here already. So instead, when I realized I had put it on there twice, I changed it out and I put in a Be Mine Always, which is a Valentine's project. And it's a small, so I'm gonna get to start another new small, which I'm excited about. And then I went to my holiday seasonal board, and number 9 on there is Mr. Mittens. And Mr. Mittens is finished and is being fully finished as we speak. So the only one on this board I have to work on is number 21, and it is Land of Liberty. What are the odds? It's also really a patriotic one. So I have 2 patriotic stitches I'm going to get to do in July. Pretty excited. July was going to be mostly Christmas, and I was kind of sad that I wasn't going to get to do any patriotic stitching this year, and Whip Go took care of that. I love it when things like that happen. Just so serendipity. Love it. So that's my Whip Go plans coming up. I'll be pulling those out, checking to make sure they're fully kitted, and if not, getting everything in there so that come July 1st, that week, I'll be able to start on whatever I want on that Whip Go board. So now, what am I going to do this week? Well, I have a challenge in my Daily 30 group that I have 5 prompts that I want to stitch on. And one of those prompts is to stitch on your spookiest whip. And one of the prompts is to stitch on a seasonal whip. And I'm combining those two. I'm going to stitch both of those prompts on one whip. I'll just do the stitches for one and then just take a picture, post it, and go on and do the stitches for the second one. And that is going to be on my Halloween Quaker. It is one of the spookiest pieces I have because I don't do a lot of spooky stitching or dark stitching, but it does have the witch on her broom, and it does look kind of dark and murky, so I am going to use it for that. And then it is seasonal, so I'll use it for that as well. So that's what my stitching will be starting on this morning. Now, I just wanted to tell you I had a fabulous weekend. I hope you did too. Our son came up and we wound up going out to eat together, he and I, for lunch. But what tickled me is that Sunday morning he got up probably about 4 in the morning and got ready, and as soon as it was the peak of the sun, he took Coco to the lake right down at the end of our street. It's an empty lot, and they have a boat dock on it, and he went out to the end of that dock and he went fishing. Now, he didn't catch anything. He fished for about an hour and a half, but the fish just weren't biting anywhere around that dock. But Coco saw something in the water, and she just took off like a shot, just went running across the dock. She didn't realize that when the color changed, it was a change in surface. She went flying off the dock. JT said it looked like she just took a complete dive right into the water, like a person was diving head first. He had her on a long leash because he was letting her run around in the empty lot quite a bit. And he had her on this long leash, and he grabbed the leash and thought, well, at least I've got her. And he waited for her to pop up, and it didn't take but a few seconds, he said, but it felt like eternity for him. And he was about to yank on the leash and pull her up when she popped right up out of the out from under the lake, you know, and was paddling and looking at him like, oh, hey, how are you? She didn't seem scared, and she didn't seem panicky, but he just reached down, and she had on her her harness, and he reached down and grabbed the handle on the back of her harness and lifted her right out of the lake. And then he let her run all around in the empty lot to dry off. And so when they got home that morning, my husband had already left for choir practice and for church, and I had waited to ride with JT. He came in and he goes, guess who decided to take a swim this morning? So he had quite the story to tell. But sorry he didn't catch any fish. We were going to cook it for supper if he did. But that was okay. But we had a great weekend, a great time. I had a fun time stitching this weekend, hitting a bunch of prompts for a pop-up challenge or two, and so that was a lot of fun. But now I'm kind of glad that things are quieted down, and I get to kind of go back into my routine of stitching for my prompts and having 2 weeks to get them done. You know, the pop-up challenge is for one weekend, so you really have to concentrate on what you're doing and move. You have to go, go, go. I think I did 4 prompts in one day, and the other 2 prompts the next day on Saturday. And Sunday I woke up thinking, I've got to stitch for a prompt, and I realized, no, I've done that. It's okay. I'm ready to settle in. So Tommy's on a long run this morning. I'm going to put some stitching in, and I hope that I'll be able to come back later this evening and show you my stitching that I was able to accomplish today. I also want to thank some of you who've already commented on my video that I put up yesterday, and how much you've enjoyed the book review. I haven't done one in a long time, and so I recorded that one and was hoping that my video would be short enough to put it in, and it did make it over an hour, but I just felt like it hadn't been, you know, I haven't shared that with you in such a long time. I wanted to do that, and the book was so good. I wanted to do that. So anyway, I hope that some of you will get the book and read it and let me know what you're reading. I'll talk to you later, hopefully today. And in the meantime, everybody, happy stitching. Welcome, everybody. This is Dina, and it is June 28th. It is Wednesday afternoon. I am here to let you know what I've been stitching on today and kind of where I am in my plans. So today, I wanted to finish up the International Fairy Day Challenge in my Daily 30 group. I had one final prompt to stitch on, and that was to stitch on a WIP that had a house or a building in it. Well, I just finished stitching the last prompt that was to have water in it or something to do with water, and I was using 13th Colony for that, and I happened to look down at my pattern as I was about to put it away, and there is a house right here in the middle, if you can see that. Yep, in that little island, even on this part, part 2, which is the one I'm working on. So I thought, how awesome is that? I can just keep going and get a little more stitching on it. So I did choose to do the smaller number of stitches because today's the 28th of June. I got some stitching I want to do. Just a little bit to end up the month before I start working so hard on my focusing on some Christmas pieces next month. Plus I've got some retreats next month, and I got some stitching I have to do there too. So I'll tell you about plans in a minute. But I went ahead and put in another 207 stitches in this to get the second prompt. So the first prompt I put in exactly 300, and in the second prompt I put in 207. So I got the highest number on the first one, and to wrap it all up, I just did the minimum amount and did the 200 stitches, which was for me 207 to to finish the tree trunk. So there you are. The part 2 picks up right here where that water bank dips down where that tree is. And so right in here is the break. And I can tell it. I don't know if you can or not, but my eye can see it. And so I'm hoping that when I stitch on it for a while, or even if I have to wash it, that will disappear even more. I'll have to remember that at the end of this page break, and I'll have to feather where I'm going to join up for part 3. But here is part 2 started. And today I finished off the little bit of white caps in the waves, small amount, and then I did the tree trunk, and I finished that tree trunk in these 2 prompts, did the entire tree trunk. So that was a good accomplishment. I'm happy about that. So the next time I pick it up, I can, if I want to, work on the tree top and go ahead and get it finished all the way up, because that's a different page. So I'm working in 2 pages right now at the same time. The tree spans 2 pages. So that's what I'm doing. But I'm happy with it. I think it's going beautifully, and I'm happy to be working with it. So I mentioned that I would talk about plans just a little bit. There'll be a new prompt on Friday, a new challenge that I'll be able to look at that will actually be, I think, in the month of July, if I'm not mistaken. Because July 1st, no, it'll be Friday the 30th. So it'll be our last June prompt. I'll still get to use my June coupon for one of the challenges in it, one of the prompts. And then the first, of course, is on Saturday, and we move into July stitching. But I went ahead and worked up acrostics for July, the ones that I have, and I have looked at my list. You know, I had a list of, in July, how I wanted to stitch on my 7 Christmas pieces, at least one of the Saturdays or Sundays of the month. But then it hit me, I have retreats 2 weeks out of that month, and for 2 Saturdays I'll be at retreat, and on 2 of those Sundays I'll be traveling. So I've backed it up, and I'm going to work on those Christmas pieces on Friday and Saturday of the weeks that I'm at retreat. However, at the New Jersey retreat in particular, I know that we're playing a couple of games. And so one of the games is left, right, center, and I signed up to participate in that with silk floss. So I have selected the silks that I'm going to take with me to play the game with, and I'm sure I will lose. So somebody will get these silks. And but I think it'll be fun, and it's a great way for me to share some of them. I inherited a huge batch of silk from an estate, and I have been using it, gifting it, you know, because there was so much of it. There really was a lot of silk. So this is sort of my way of passing along a little more of it, because I've had it for 2 or 3 years and haven't used it. But I tried to pick some of my prettiest colors, and so I'm going to do that. And then another game that we're playing is 3 and 3, and I mentioned that before. So I have actually decided now on what my 3 and 3 is going to be. And I have decided I'm going to start these 3 things in the 3 hours at the retreat. The first one is going to be casting a spell. I had mentioned that I might start one of the other pillows in that, and I am going to do that to keep that one going. And then I'm going to go toward, that'll be Halloween themed, and then I'm going to go toward Christmas next, and I'm going to pull out my cranberry Christmas ornaments. I've stitched 2, and I want to stitch the other 2, and so I'll pick which one I'm going to start, and I'll go ahead and plan on that, make sure I have it fully kitted. And that'll be the second one I start for hour 2. And then for hour 3, I have a whip go start called Be Mine Always. It's a Valentine's stitch. And I'm going to start it as number 3. So I will continue working on a whip. I will have a completely new start that'll be Christmas, in line with my Christmas theme for the month. And then I will do a whip go call by starting the Be Mine Always. So that's what I did. I thought that was good. That kind of hit all of the things I'm trying to look at in the month of July. And I think that'll be a fun thing to do. Then looking at how much I'm going to be traveling in July, I got a little concerned about my acrostics and thought, you know, I always try to put a different whip whenever possible on each letter, at least in one acrostic. And then if I can double dip, I do. But I thought, am I going to have time to do all these with all the traveling and stuff I'm doing? So I actually took out my calendar for July. And I had stopped doing this a long time ago because I didn't like having every day allocated for what I had to stitch. This isn't carved in stone. I actually wrote in ink that's erasable, so I can change it if I want to. But let me show you my calendar for July. Now, I did this because I went through first and put down my weekend Christmas focuses. And then I put my 3 and 3 on that Friday that I would need to start 3 things. And then I took my acrostics and I started filling in what I would need to work on just as I went down through the acrostics from top to bottom. No rhyme or reason as to what day it's on other than the weekends that were supposed to be for my Christmas whips. But what that has done is it shows me that if I'm able to stitch exactly on this schedule, I'll hit them all. I'll hit everything. And I'm not putting any stitching down on my travel days. I'm hoping to get some stitching in, but I'm not counting on it. And I am coming up at the end of the month, on the 26th of July, if I've stitched everything when I said I was, or at least one of these on each day that I said I was, I'll be finished with everything by the 26th of July. So that leaves me 5 days, the 27th through the 31st, to catch up on anything I've missed. Now, this is, granted, this is before any of my challenges have come out. So we'll have one this Friday that'll run into July, so I'll have to see what I have there. But my plan is to make the acrostics things that I'm stitching on fit the same thing. Use some of the same ones, double dip them. And if I have to rearrange when I stitch on one of these things, if I have to swap a couple of them out in order to finish my prompts in the 2-week deadline that I have, that's okay. I'm just holding a spot for one of them on each of these days. It doesn't have to be stitched on that day. But I will, once I stitch it, I'll check it off so that I don't go back to it and stitch it again until I finish my acrostics, unless that's all I have that meets the prompt. And then I may stitch enough to get the minimum of the prompt and then go back to what I'm supposed to be stitching. But doing that has shown me that July is going to be crazy, absolutely crazy with stitching. I hope I get to do every single bit of it. I'm so excited because if I do, then I will get to put some concentrated stitching in each of my Christmas pieces, at least for one day. And then I will have a day to stitch on all my other whips as well. And then when I get to the end of the month, I'll see where I'm at. I've got 5 days left at the end of the month, you know, just to see if there's something I can push a little closer to a finish or something I could finish. something I could catch up on that I might be running late on. It's great. I love having a 5-day cushion. That's wonderful. So there you go. I have it as a guide. It's not carved in stone. It doesn't have to look exactly like that by the end of the month. But at least I know it's doable, and that's why I went through that exercise. I had mentioned in one of my little segments that I needed to do some heavy planning, and that's what I was talking about. I had to make sure that I identified my 3 and 3 and that I planned for my Christmas stitching, especially with the travel that I'm doing, and that I made sure I had room to stitch all those acrostics that I am planning on, especially since I chose to do the long one for Magazine Monthly Challenge rather than the short one. And that's always a possibility. You know, if I find that I am overwhelmed and I'm not being able to stitch like I want, I can shorten that to hippo from hippopotamus, and that'll take a whole lot of stitching out of the calendar. So I reserve the right to do that if need be, but I'm hoping I'll be able to get everything in. So I have a bit of sad news today, just a little tiny bit. My son texted me this morning and said they sent him home from work. He went to work not feeling the best, but, you know, thinking maybe he had just overdone it over the weekend, or, you know, that he'd eaten something that didn't agree with him. But when he got to work and he did the first surgery, when they finished the surgery, he was feeling pretty raunchy. And I guess it showed in his countenance because they asked him, "Are you feeling bad?" And he said, "I am, kinda. I really am." So they took his temperature and he had a fever over 100, so they had to send him home. He's not a happy camper. He got home to find out that one of his roommates has been sick for a week and had not bothered to tell my son or their other roommate. So neither of them knew to be particularly cautious, and they didn't wash their hands as much as they probably would have after touching things around the house, and they both got sick from their roommate. He is very disgusted. Anyway, I'm hoping it's easy. I'm hoping it's a quick cold or something like that he can get over and get through with the fever pretty quick so he can get right back to work. He has planned to come and spend the 4th of July with us, and he's really upset because he said, if this knocks me out of coming up there on the 4th of July and I don't get to eat with y'all and watch fireworks with y'all, he said, I'll be mad. So anyway, fingers crossed that he feels great and much, much better and much improved in a couple of days so he can come up here this weekend. Anyway, I felt bad for him. I thought that was kind of sad. He doesn't like to miss work at all, ever. He wants to be dependable, and so that bothers him when that happens. But anyway, he'll get over it. He'll get over the illness, I hope, pretty quickly. Well, I think that is all the news fit to print right now. I am going to go and look at my whips and decide what I want to work on for now. And I should get a little bit of stitching this afternoon. I've got dinner already planned. I've already been to the grocery store to get the ingredients that I was missing, just a few. And then I'll get that started later this evening. And in the meantime, I get to stitch. I hope you do. Happy stitching, everybody. Okay, I see you've helped open my packages today. I received some stand-ups that Vonna finished for me, Vonna Pfeiffer, the Twisted Stitcher, and I took them out of their bubble wrap. She had them wrapped beautifully in a couple of different layers, and there's the culprit right there who helped me. Oh, you got an itch? Coco loves to pop bubble wrap, and so she shredded it for me today, as you can see. But let me show you the stand-ups that I've got before I pick up all this around on the ground. You may recall Mr. Mittens. This was stitched for my sister Stephanie's mom, Ellen, who's my adopted mom as well, and she collects clowns and she collects snowmen. So now she has one that's both. And there's the back. And that beautiful cording, Vonna, it's gorgeous. Thank you so much. And then, now, my sister Stephanie, I need you to look away because the next thing Vonna finished for me is for you. Okay. So this is the one that I did for my sister Stephanie. And I think you can remember this one. And she collects these. And the back there has a beautiful fabric on it. And so those will be traveling out this Christmas for Christmas presents. Vonna, they're beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. So much. Hi everyone, I wanted to share with you some happy mail that I got. I had the privilege of receiving a number of kits and patterns from a friend who was destashing, and her purpose in bringing me these things was for me to pick what I wanted and then to share them with others, either through my stitching group at the library or other people that I knew that might want some of these items that she had. And as it turned out, there were some kits in this group that were beautiful kits of horses. And I knew one of my friends who has a floss tube in Canada, KraftnKris, I think is the name of it. I'll put it in the comments below to make sure. I'm subscribed and she just pops up every time she has a video, so I'm sorry if I don't have the name right off the top of my head. But I sent her a message and I said, can you talk for just a second over Facebook Messenger? I want to show you something and see if you want it, because if you want it, I'll ship it to you. And I did. She was available and we talked, and it turned out that she had been looking for one of these kits for a long time. It was like a unicorn chart for her, and she had seen it either on eBay or on a stash unload site of some kind for a very large amount of money, and she just couldn't bring herself to pay that for it. So when I lifted it up, I could hear her absolutely just gasp in delight. You know, she was just like, oh, you're kidding me, are you just holding that in your hand right now? So naturally that one made its way to her with a couple of other patterns that she would love to stitch. And I was so thrilled that I had thought of her and that she wanted, you know, one of the patterns, really wanted them. So the next thing you know, I get a message from Chris, and she wants to know, you know, could she pay for postage? Could she pay me for the pattern? And I said, no, they were gifted to me to share, and that's what I'm doing. And so Chris makes project bags, and when I show you this one, you'll recognize the style because I've gotten one from her before and I love it. So she asked me what my favorite colors were. She asked me what colors I didn't like. And then the next thing you know, I got this in the mail. Isn't that beautiful? I think this is one of the prettiest color palettes I have in all of my bags. And this is just a lovely light fabric on the inside. Has little flowers, little, you know, leaves. So pretty. Such a beautiful, beautiful fabric. Understated, gorgeous. Then, this came with it, this Notions bag. These are so beautifully made, I can't tell you. It's nice and thick, and everything is so neat. It's so professionally done. And then, look at this. I've never gotten one of these before. You have a snap on this side and a snap on this side, and it opens out into a pin keep, needle keep. So I have here a safety pin if I need it, and I have here these precious counting pins in the colors to complement the fabric. Isn't that beautiful? I have another piece of felt here to put my needles of my choice in here for my project. I am thrilled. And then you just fold it back up, snap the outer sides down, and you've got this easy to store little padded triangle. Nothing can fall out. And put that in your notions bag. I love it. Beautiful. So I'm gonna zip that up just so you can hear it or see it. There's the set. Is that one of the prettiest ones you've ever seen? It is to me. Chris, thank you so much. I am tickled to death. So I'll wait and zip that up after I get off the microphone. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you and tell Chris thank you so much. If you're in Canada, for sure, you need to go and look at her website, and I'll put that in my comments below. And if you're in the United States, the shipping might be a little high, but I'm telling you, the quality is worth it. So give her a shout, give her a look. I just wanted to give her a shout out, and she has Floss Tube channel, so give her a look and see some of the beautiful stuff she's working on. Well, that's my happy mail. I'm gonna clean all this away. I'm expecting a guest in just a little while. First time stitcher to my home. I met her at our stitching meetup, and we found out that we only live a couple of blocks away from each other. And so Juliana is coming over today to stitch for the first time with me at my house. So looking forward to getting to know her, and I don't anticipate filming while she's here. I think that would be way too much to invite someone over and then say, can I film you? We'll see down the road if she gets comfortable with that. But I just wanted to let you know how excited I was for my happy mail. I just, right before this, showed my beautiful, fully finished objects that I had just received from my friend Vonna. And now I'm going to get busy stitching. I am today stitching on Kringles. I wanted to go ahead and get that July stitching on Kringles done, if at all possible, before July, because I have so much traveling I want to do in this month. And I have been asked to bring it with me on one of the retreats, the one in North Alabama. And since we're driving there, I have room in the car to bring it. And so I will do that. But I want to finish the room that I'm in stitching on now that's supposed to be July's section, because I would love it if I could start working on it a little bit in Alabama for the August room at the bottom, one that would be easier to do. So we'll see. But I got to get all this cleaned up before my company gets here. That Coco shredded all over the floor. She sure had fun doing it, though. Thanks for letting me share all this with you, and I hope that you're having a great day of stitching, and I'll talk to you soon. Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is Dina. It is June 30th, and I am here to give you an update about what I was able to stitch today. Well, I decided, since I had a few days at the end of the month, I was going to try to get ahead on something. And I did that because of all the traveling I'm going to be doing this month, all the retreats that I get to go to. It's such a blessing. but it may make it a little bit tighter for me to get all of my cross sticks, all of my prompts, and some of my whip go goals and everything done. So I've got my calendar mapped out very closely. And since I had a few days, about 3 I think I did this, where I didn't have any prompts to meet before Friday, I didn't have any prompts to meet, I decided to pull out my Kringles and get a head start on the April block. I had used it for a prompt, so I had stitched this present, this gift that the little girl is standing on, the little toy doll, and then I had stitched a little bit of the chair next to this table. It's hard for you to see it there because it's in white. So that's what I had done when I picked this up. So I worked on it first thing this morning, very early this morning, and hit a prompt in the Daily 30 group that was published today. I was able to use it for one of the prompts. And then after I posted that, I kept going. I finished it. I finished the July block. And I came down here and I brought this line on across and up to here to complete the border around the sign. And I finished the second snowflake. There are 2 snowflakes in there, one on each side. So, other than putting in beads for eyes where they're needed for the bear and the girls that are the dolls, I have finished that completely. So now I get to roll it up, and the next time I work on this, it'll be on the bottom row. I have 3 big openings left to stitch, and there's a lot of stitching in them because the rooms up here, I have the borders around before I started really stitching inside the last one. But now, I don't have any of the borders done for the bottom row, as you can see. So I have been requested to bring this with me to the retreat in Alabama at the end of the month. And so I would love to do that, and I might be able to stitch on it there if I concentrate on just stitching maybe borders while I'm there. And if I could get the borders done for the 3 rooms, well, the front door and the 2 rooms, I think that would help a great deal. So that's what I'll start on next when I pick it up again. So I'm tickled. I'm really tickled that I was able to get that done before even the first of the month, the day before. I fully anticipated that I was going to wind up finishing it tomorrow. But today, my husband went on a long run, and it rained most of the day. So I took Coco out this morning, and we had a lovely walk, but I didn't get to take her out this afternoon because it was pouring rain. So my husband just took her out a few minutes ago. Even though the sun has gone down, he has a lamp he uses, a headlamp he uses when he's hiking and has to do night hiking. So he took her out walking just to get some energy out because she'd been, cooped up with me all day in the rain. It's finally quit raining. So that's a good thing. I wanted to just share with you that I had the most fun last night. My friend Donna and I Zoomed with Lori from Once Upon a Stitch and our friend Dee Abrams, and we all talked about the New Jersey retreat. Unfortunately, Dee's not going to get to go. She's had illness in her family and a death in her family, and so she's going to be tied up probably the whole time, and just couldn't see making it there. So she had a lot of fun helping us plan last night. We shared with each other what our 3 starts were going to be in the 3 and 3 event that's going to happen Friday night, and Dee assures us that she's going to be doing that from home and do it with us. I think that's great. And we talked about what whips were taken. I have been a little remiss in that. I've got my 3 starts I know that I'm taking for the 3 and 3, and I only have one other whip identified on my calendar for that weekend, which is the Stitchers 12 days. So I need to look a little more. It would be nice to take a small with me, something I could stitch either on the plane or in the airport, you know, when you're waiting those 2 hours before you get to board, you know, that kind of thing. But tomorrow starts July 1st. I have a lot of stitching to do, and I'm looking forward to all of it. So, can't wait. Our son came up for July 4th weekend. He is off work until the Wednesday after July 4th. He didn't have to be back till Wednesday morning. But I'm looking forward to having him here. I'm looking forward to maybe us doing some games and maybe taking a movie. Our family tradition from the time my husband started running the Peachtree Road Race in Atlanta on July 4th was that we went to Atlanta with him. We stayed in a hotel. My son and I got in the pool and swam, and my husband ran. And the day of July 4th, after the road race and before the fireworks, we would always go to the Lenox Mall in Atlanta and go to the movie theater. And there was always some sort of action-packed movie that had been released for July 4th. I remember one of them was Independence Day with Will Smith. We went to see that, and there's just been different ones every year that we picked. So this year, on July 4th, they're releasing the final Indiana Jones movie with Harrison Ford, and we've seen them all. So I asked my son today if he was interested in going, and he said he was. So I think we may get to continue that family tradition that we haven't done for several years since he's been an adult. And that will be great fun to do that. It will bring back some great memories. Looking forward to that. Okay, I'm going to let you go, let you get back to what you were doing. Thanks for letting me share my accomplishment. The fact that I've gotten a little ahead on my Kringles gives me breathing room for this month, and I needed that. I felt good about that. So in the meantime, till I can share more stitching with you, I hope that you have a great week of stitching. And if you are in the U.S. and celebrate the 4th of July, I hope you have a great holiday. I hope you get to see family and friends and maybe even some fireworks. Happy stitching, everybody. Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is July 1st. Well, this is going to be a busy month for me. I hope you have lots of great plans for the month of July, but I have a number of them. I'm going to be doing focusing on some of my Christmas pieces. I'm going to try to touch all 7 of my current Christmas whips. And this month, I have 2 new starts with Whip Go, and I wanted to get those done because they're both July themed, and I want to get them started at least in this month. And then, goodness gracious, we've got some acrostics. We have 3 that I'm going to be working on this month. The Magazine Monthly Challenge one is Hippopotamus. The 24 Hours of Cross Stitch is Offhanded. And then there's a Daily 30 group that has an acrostic as well. And it is Recreation. I just saw that one today. Just had to figure out what I was going to stitch for it. So I am going to be able to use some of my same whips for some of those, but I will also be having weekly challenges that are coming, that'll be posted, you know, every Friday. And I want to try to get those done if I can, but my acrostics and my Whip Go are my top priority, simply because I enjoy them so much. So, what did I start on today? Well, I have a couple of ladies that I talk to through Facebook Messenger every day. There's actually 3 of them now, and I make the 4th one. But we all decided that we would start a patriotic project on July 1st. 2 of the ladies are doing knee-high by the 4th of July by Hands On Design. I didn't have that one in my stash. But my whip go call, one of them was Sweet Land of Liberty from Heartstring Samplery. I think this is beautiful. I had put it on whip go and had no idea it would be called for in the month of July, but I am tickled to death that it was. So today I pulled out my project bag out of my little basket that I have near my stitching spot here that has all of the new starts for whip go already in it. And that made it easy for me to find them. So I ran and got that this morning, pulled it out, found the center, and got ready to start. And the first color that I needed to start on in the middle is this flower right here that's in this ecru type color. It's actually an overdyed floss, so it has a different name, but that's about the color that it is. I couldn't see it at all on my fabric. It was the exact color of my fabric. And I notice in here, you can't hardly see these 2 flowers because they're very close to the fabric. And I know that is a style, and I know a lot of people like that it fades right into the fabric. But my fabric wasn't as variegated as this. It wasn't dyed the same way. Mine was a solid. Couldn't see it at all. It was not good. So I ran back to my fabric supply, and I took my threads with me, and I looked and thought, what color do I think would look really pretty and make all of these threads pop and still show up this off-white color? And the fabric that I chose is called Meadow. It's a Lugana, and it is a 32 count, and it is from Fabrics by Stephanie. And this is where I got to today. This is the fabric. I think that's a beautiful fabric for this piece. It's going to have, you see the majority of the colors right there. There is one color that's not in there, and it's kind of a golden color, and it's going to be in the lettering. The letters are going to be that color. But all of the flower colors and greenery, they're already showing on there. And I just felt like that was going to be so pretty with that blue next to that light blue, and that green is kind of a yellowy green, and with the gold in there, that yellow is going to look good with it. I just think it's going to be pretty, and I think it looks kind of like a hot summer sky to me. I just thought it was a great little color. So that's what I did. Again, it's Meadow by Fabrics by Stephanie, and it is on a 32 count. So my guess is I will be able to get this piece probably on half of this fabric. And if I decide to make it a pillow, I can definitely fit it in there. But the bottom's probably going to be around here. Anyway, I think it's pretty. I'm excited. This was a Whip Go call, as I mentioned. And Whip Go I can block it off. And do you know what? That's my number 21 on my Christmas and holiday board, and that means I am only one number short of a bingo in one direction and one number short of a bingo in another direction, but I have a bingo, my first one, diagonally. I'm excited. That's my first bingo. First bingo on my Whip Go, and I got it on July 1st. Yay! Pretty excited about that. It met a Whip Go, gave me a bingo in Whip Go, and Gave me a great small. I could take this one with me on my trip. I very well may do that. So, okay. That's where we are. Now I have a little tiny announcement to give you for Happy Mail. I'm working on Autumn in the Country, which is a Just Nan. And there is a whole series of these designs that she did with the border, a similar border. And my friend Diane saw me working on that on one of my videos. And she contacted me and she said, I have Winter in the Forest, which is one of the series. I only have Autumn. I don't have the rest. This was on my wish list. She just didn't know it. And she sent it to me. Isn't that beautiful? And it came with the beads and the fancy floss. Thank you, Diane, for doing that. So this will be easy enough now. The rest are DMC. So I can get this up and start it whenever I want. I'm so excited. So I wanted to thank Diane for that and show everybody that. So, okay. I will tell you that my son is feeling better. He was able to get up today and he ran to the grocery store for me. And he got groceries for the weekend after we talked about what we wanted to cook together. And today he offered to make his bolognese sauce. And normally I think bolognese is supposed to be mostly meats and not a lot of tomato or tomato sauce, but I love the tomatoey flavor of a spaghetti sauce, and so does my son. So he made ours a little more tomatoey than the traditional bolognese, but it was divine. I don't think I have ever had a spaghetti meat sauce. I call it a spaghetti meat sauce. I had never had one taste as good as that. And I made a pretty good one. I taught him how to make it. But he has really taken it to another level. And I told him he has a new job, that anytime I want spaghetti now, he has to make the sauce. But he said that traditionally you don't use regular spaghetti noodles with bolognese. From what he's heard, you're supposed to use a broader, flatter noodle. And so he got these broad, flat, probably about that wide, thin, what I called ribbons, noodles. They were egg noodles, and he cooked them, and then we put the bolognese sauce over them. They're so good. Anyway, he did a great job. It was something he could work on, and then it simmered all day, and he could just get up every so often and stir everything, and that way he could rest most of the day. He said by the end of the day he could tell he was feeling a whole lot better than he did when he first came down with whatever it was his roommate gave him, and he thinks that maybe in the next day or two he'll be almost back to normal. He's still having a lot of fatigue. It comes in waves. But he hasn't had a fever. He went to work on Friday because he didn't have a fever. It broke in the wee hours, I think, Thursday morning. And he went a whole 24 hours before he went to work to make sure he wasn't, wasn't carrying anything contagious. And then because he didn't have fever, he came on up here. But he was really tired Friday. He rested a lot. But I'm telling you what, I'm glad he felt better today because that sauce he made was divine. It really was good. So my friend Donna tells me I'm getting very spoiled, and she's right. Because my son is a good cook, and he's cooking at least once or twice on the weekends when he comes to visit. And so, oh my goodness, I just really am getting spoiled. So I will tell you a funny. He told me when my husband and I had to go to a funeral today, and a friend of ours from church had a celebration of life service for her daughter who had a brain tumor. Her daughter was 2 years younger than my son, and that hit me pretty hard. She has a 4-year-old son, she and her husband, and she's no longer here. And so it was a beautiful celebration of life. It was uplifting, and her sister spoke, her husband spoke, even her little niece got up and spoke. Her niece probably wasn't more than 8 years old, and she talked about her aunt, whom she called Honey. Isn't that sweet? So while we were gone to this funeral, celebration of life, our son was busy getting everything ready for dinner. He was going to have supper ready about when we got home. And he grated fresh Parmesan cheese to go on this bolognese sauce. And he put it in a little bowl and had it in the center of my island in the kitchen. And he left the room to go to his room, the guest room that he's staying in, to do something really quick, and he wasn't gone more than a few seconds. But when he came back, the bowl of cheese was no longer there. And the bowl was empty and turned upside down on the floor, where somebody had gotten up there and gotten it and ate all the cheese. We've been watching Coco very closely to make sure she's not getting sick. She loves cheese, absolutely loves it, and I don't even think it's that good for dogs. So we try not to give it to her, and we didn't give it to her. She took it. She just flat out took it. And JT saw that, and he was shocked, and he was a little concerned for her. And I think it probably, all of that was in his voice. And he said something to her like, "Coco, what have you done?" And she slunk into the living room, and she wouldn't talk to him. She wouldn't hang out with him. She normally hangs right next to him the whole time he's here. She knew he was upset. And she just took a wide berth from him for a while. She was better by the end of the evening after we had dinner. And but you know what? She didn't eat any supper. She had hers already. I just hope she doesn't have any problems tomorrow. We'll see. Anyway, I know that our life is always exciting and fun and different and interesting because of her. And y'all are kind to let me tell you her stories. But anyway, that's all from Coco this evening. I hope you have a great evening. Have a good night's rest. I hope you've got great plans for the weekend. And I know we do, and we're looking forward to it. I will take you along for the ride as much as I can. I'll tell you about it, and then I'll share my stitching with you. Happy stitching, everybody. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It is Sunday. It is July 2nd. I'm here to share with you what little bit of stitching I got done today. And it's not that small. I did get 365 stitches in today. But I was working on the first of my daily 30 acrostic for recreation. And this is for the O in recreation. And it's the Christmas Village ornament. I'm also going to be able to use that for the O in the 24 hours of cross stitch offhanded, and I'm going to use it for one of the O's in the magazine monthly challenge as well, for the first O in hippopotamus. So three prompts, and in addition, this is one of my 7 Christmas pieces I said I wanted to touch this month. So this is a very productive 365 stitches. It's this beautiful gold collection kit that I'm working on. This is the one I'm doing right now. And because they are so detailed and they're small, I'm going to put a picture in for you to show you where I was last time you saw it here. And now I will show you where I got to today after 365 stitches. Here we are. I have one color left to stitch on the 3 people, and they will be ready. They'll be completed as far as back stitching goes, but the one color that I need to stitch on them with is all throughout the rest of the house as well. So I didn't pull that out and do it today. Today I spent a lot of time trying to stitch on what I would consider the smallest number of stitches of each color. So I would pick a color that just had a few in it, and then as I stitched it, then I would go to the next one that had the least number of symbols left, and I would keep going. So what I'm doing is trying to fill in all the details so that it doesn't get lost anywhere, because if I ever make an error in here, I'd much rather just catch it up in the wall of the house or in the trees where it's not going to change the shape of anything. So there you have it. I have, as I said, one color left in the people, then I can back stitch them, and that's quite a bit of detail in there. She's got a big hat on, which will come to life with the back stitching, and she's got a cloak over what seems to be a skirt on the bottom that's striped, but that'll come out a little more with the back stitching. And there's one more yellow color to be added. I didn't get to that one yet today, but I am very, very pleased with my progress, and I'm thinking that maybe one more, at the very, very worst case scenario, 2 more times of stitching this, it will be finished. So I very well may pull this out again this month. I may make this one that I would really like to focus on. Wouldn't it be great to finish it in July and have that Christmas piece done? I try to do one a year, and that would be awesome to be able to do that. I'd love to be able to finish it in July, and I might even be persuaded to go ahead and get started on the 3rd one sometime during the year, maybe at Christmas time, have it ready for next year. But anyway, I think it's lovely. I think it's turning out beautifully, and I love the colors in these. They're just delightful. So there you go. Stitching has gone well today. Other than that, I think that's all the news fit to print. My husband's out for a very long run today, and he's also picking up his race packet in Atlanta for his July 4th road race, and so I know he's going to have a delightful day, and my son and I are planning a nice dinner tonight that we will cook together, and we'll have it when my husband gets home, and that'll be a lovely evening. So I think if I have any extra time today, I'm going to come back and stitch. So if I do, I'll share it with you. Happy stitching, everybody.
I can't tell you what house is his because he kind of keeps it on the down low, but it was a great experience. So
we're watching Taylor, the New Hampshire hiker, and Coco's been watching her with us.
He actually knows a couple that lives right on trail, so he offered to just drive my backpack to their house, and oh man, I'm getting tired. When I pass through, I can pick up my